Hey, hey.
Hey, how you doing?
Look at this lineup. Talk about rolling out the welcome mat. My good buddy Victor called me up and asked me to stop by. Who knows what he's thinking? To what do I owe the honor of this presentation?
Bring back any memories?
It's one of those moments, like when you approach the pearly gates, then your life passes before your eyes. You get to see all your past decisions, and all these cars are lined up. I'm wondering what's going on.
I mean, look at this.
Yeah, you forget how much nonsense we've been through. 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, and that's not even all of them. It's crazy. We have tunnel vision working as a team, so we just go from one to the next, no hindsight. And this is a look into the past. It's like, what have we done here?
Remember what we started with? I used to have doors. Remember? It's due to the diamonds.
This really exemplifies why I'll do anything for Victor. He's like the ideal client, He follows everything through to the finish, and he has the entire volume of work stored and ready to cruise at any time. Victor just keeps stacking them.
This has been a year since we completed this car.
Right.
So,
Time flies,
I
man.
always said, I'm done, but hey, now I'm bored.
Right. And there it is, Victor's bored. It could be a signal that we're potentially entering dangerous waters. You're not thinking about changing all this up, are you?
Nothing. We're done. And the reason why I have everything out, I don't want to duplicate what we've achieved already. I want to build another vehicle, and I guess the word is spectacle, right? These are cars, these are, radical customs.
Sure.
But this is half a spectacle. I need a full spectacle. Let's go out of the box on this one.
I love that idea. This style car, right? It's like, that's just my jam. I love the sleds and the customs. They're super cool, but I like the freak show.
And I guess that's a word. I guess I say spectacle and you say freak show. Now we got to combine those.
My life just keeps getting weirder and weirder. I never thought again that I would be tasked with creating the ultimate spectacle. He picked the right guy. That's what I'm talking about.
Remember the boonie bug you did for me at the nursery?
Yeah, little van.
It like attracts people. I don't know, it's like every day people stop in, they don't even buy anything. They just want to see the boonie bug, and hey, I love that attention that got.
Besides being an eccentric car collector, Victor's a very astute businessman. He's a great designer. He's got a good brain for marketing. And, that led to this other project we created. I call it the Boonie Bug. It's really a custom-made vehicle, but it's a showpiece. It's something to just get people's attention, and it happens to be in front of his business.
And that's what I'm looking to build, something that'll bring all this attention, but times 10.
Well, as your therapist, I could say that this is clearly a deepening addiction, when just enough isn't enough anymore and you need something more to get your kicks. Those are some of the warning signs starting the show. Deep in Victor's soul, he's kind of a wild man, and he really does get a kick out of doing this stuff. He is not afraid to go for it, and he has a track record to prove it.
Anything you want to do, I'm giving you carte blanche to do whatever you want to do. And remember freaky and remember crazy. Remember those words, and then that's what I want.
My 2 favorite words, like music to my ears.
These are too subtle. I want people to just look at the car and just go like, wow, what is it? And why would they do that?
I think it's time for old subtle Roussel to take off that cap. Let the freak show commence.
Yeah, do what you gotta do.
There's something I'm thinking about back at my ranch that just might fit the bill for this crazy challenge. Man, ever since I left Victor's, I've been ruminating, like, what could I possibly do to up my game? Victor said, no holds barred. I think this is really gonna turn up the heat a little on his request. Perfect starting point. Victor wanted weird. Welcome to the boat show. I gotta say, my own guilty pleasure. This is a true bucket list potential accomplishment for me, and that's why I never got rid of this thing. I know what everybody's thinking. It's not gonna be a boat. It just happens to be an optimal fiberglass shape. It's very streamlined. I love the nose. I love the dashboard. Look at that steering wheel, look at the gauges. This thing's awesome. It just speaks to me, right? I got a weird thing, I guess, for like history. I look at it and I picture it like in its heyday, like cruising the lake, super flaky paint on it, you know, just a good time machine. Maybe even Victor with his expanded consciousness doesn't know what I'm thinking about. And I don't know if I could pull this off. He might just go for it. I'm gonna bring this back to the shop and get to work. Two things that don't belong together is a boat and the desert, but it sure is built for speed. Just look at that thing. Do not be swayed by the appearance of this vessel. It's piece parts for my crazy spectacle. Thing looks like a natural scooting around there in the desert. I'm feeling good about this project already. This is the first boat that's ever been in my workshop. This is one of those ideas that might need a little explaining. Even for the most envisionary of envisioners, this concept could be a potentially hard sell. You're like, oh, it's a boat. And I'm saying, no, it's not a boat, but it's a boat, but it's not. See what I did there? Needs a little more explaining. So here's where the story gets interesting. It's not gonna be in the water. It's gonna be driving across the desert in a most peculiar way. Hence all the parts I've gathered thusly. My favorite part of the whole operation is just getting the potential together, you know? It's like, I want one of those, two of those, three of them, and a half dozen of the other. Give me a glazed donut and a bottle of anything to go. I got a junk engine, I got a junk transmission. That's just for the mock-up. The real gems are right here, look at these. Mickey Thompson Sportsman tires. Just imagine some of these guys putting the power to the ground. So, you know, setting the tire outside like that, you know, it looks like, well, anybody could do that. It looks like the boat's on a trailer, right? I don't want that. That's where this rear axle comes in. It's out of a tailor-done utility cart, kind of like an industrial strength golf cart. Look how narrow it is. These things come with a Ford 9-inch that's narrowed. That's dragster stuff right there. I just set the tire in place there, but that's not what I want to see. See, with this narrowed rear axle, and all of a sudden, this fits in here. So the side of the boat looks like it's supposed to. So what I'm trying to do is not make this like a car that's wearing a boat. It's like the boat is actually designed to drive, like a speedboat, like a drag boat on a dry lake bed. I got this frame from Speedway. It's a T-bucket chassis. It's all set up for the rear springs. The front axle mount is there. I'm gonna have to modify it for sure, but this is a brand new unit. That'll be perfect. I'm all bristling with enthusiasm, but I may be getting ahead of myself. If I can't just show this stuff to Victor. As much as I'm working on my concept, I'm also working on my sales pitch. These two things go hand in hand for the success of this project. Look, Victor, this is what you get. Like, you're driving around like this, like a boss. Captain's hat on, aviator sunglasses, big V8 engine behind you, pulsing away, glitter flying off of you. The boat will be glistening, mustache is perfect, and you're just like cruising down the lane. If my mock-up comes together as planned, he's gonna look at this and say, that's exactly what I was thinking. That's perfect. You nailed it again, Mr. Roussel. Hats off. That's a long way away from where we're at now. The true gravity of the situation is we have a junked out old boat, a busted engine and transmission, and two rear tires. Now, looking at this whole mock-up, I could see we're missing one critical element. You know, there's no front tires. And it would be simple to just throw in a Camaro front clip or some aftermarket thing, but you know, I need something that says race day on the lake. I think I might just know where to find something that fits the bill.
What's up, Ian?
Man, you have an ever-evolving inventory. And you got cooler stuff every time I come out here.
That's what it's all about, isn't it?
I met Tom at the Pomona swap meet years ago, and we've been friends ever since. Tom is a longtime hot rodder. Now in his retirement, he's, you know, a hobby builder, but he's also a consummate collector of all things cool. Look at this tow truck, man, and this dune buggy.
Those are two of my favorites, if you can believe them. I love old junky stuff.
Man, that thing is cool, but I gotta say, dune buggies are my thing, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it back to what it was originally. Somebody had added a bunch of tubing to it, and I understand why, because they wanted to make it safer. Unsafe's kind of cool.
I agree. What about this Ford?
31 Model A, yeah.
It's all there. The duct tape roof definitely dates it. That's when you know it's been through a thorough restoration.
Yeah.
Man, you got the Fords representing. This is what, a 26?
26 Roadster pickup, yeah. It's a driver.
I came here for something specific, and now you got all this new treasure, man. I don't know if I want a dune buggy, a tow truck. I can't have a Model A, but I might have a Model T.
I don't have any cars for sale right now, but I got lots of motorcycles. I got one right there I'll sell you.
Tom's real passion is vintage dirt bikes, you know. He's got a whole stash in his loft upstairs.
These are my valuable ones over here. I got these back when I was probably in my early 20s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm a sick man. This is all Pomona's fault.
Yeah.
You know, Victor always talks about it. You know, he goes to Pomona, he ends up buying all that stuff. That's me. All right, man, what was it you wanted?
All this stuff's too nice. I was looking for something that was in the junk pile in the back.
Oh, okay.
When I got that Jeep body from you, I was walking through your scrap tubing section, and I saw this thing. This is like the real deal, man.
It's a slingshot dragster front end, if you look.
I can tell. I'm building this crazy contraption, and I need these spoke wheels, man. This
Oh,
thing
wow,
is
that's
too
cool. What are you gonna build?
A drag boat. See, this is what I'm talking about. I need to have this whole concept laid out, well represented to really make that sales pitch count. It's like a drag boat, right?
Yeah.
But it's a drag boat with tires.
Yeah.
So it's like a dragster.
It's not in the water, though,
Without
right?
the water. It's a drag boat without the water. Desert drag boat.
I like it when you go crazy with stuff.
That's why I needed these parts, because it's like the same era, right? So if you're gonna build like a vintage drag boat, you need the parts to fit the bill.
Man, I'd love to see you do something with this.
Oh, I got something.
If you want it, it's yours.
I appreciate it, man. I think I have all the pieces to commence construction on my greatest sales pitch to date. I'll meet you back at the boat club. Making some progress on this boat. Just cut out a whole bunch of stuff. I just kind of want to come up with a wheelbase measurement. These two big tires are gonna set in there, and man, it's gonna be tight. You know, I wanna sit ahead of the engine, and I want these big tires back here. Unfortunately, and fortunately for me, there's no blueprint for this kind of thing. It's all about envisioning and an old school mock-up to see how it's all gonna come together. This thing was so heavy because it was full of sand from some knucklehead dragging it around with a pickup truck. See how it's sitting right now? I want it to be like motorboat style. I want it to be low in the back and up in the front. When you get on the gas on a boat, it rises in the front, and that's what I want with this thing. All of my projects are focused on the look, but this one is really important because I've got to nail this concept to sell it to Victor, or all my hopes and dreams could fall flat. When I saw that dragster frame at Tom's, I was like, look at this. That's awesome for a rail dragster. But you know, this boat weighs hundreds of pounds, so I needed something a little more substantial. I got all this stuff from Speedway that's brand new and set up for a car with a V8 engine in the front. It's a very similar arrangement, just this is much stronger, but I want to build the chassis to look reminiscent of that old rail dragster style. With the wheelbase of this boat and the look I'm going for, I'm gonna have to modify that T-bucket chassis substantially. So that's where the fun begins. I want it to look like that in the front, and I want it to behave like an engineered kit car from a catalog should. That's my favorite part. That's the way I work, is just jumping into a project without any direction. Just a couple great ideas, and let the cards fall where they may. This project boils down to a two-step process. Create a chassis, step one, and then step two, take boat body and install it on said chassis. Yes, you can see now clearly that I was conservative on the cutting out of things. And then sell the concept to the client. So I guess it's a three-step process. First on the list is to narrow the frame 4 inches so that it'll fit up with the rear end. I know I want to cut the chassis off here, put a cross member, and lay it back out. Number one benefit of starting with a prefabricated chassis is, you know it's square, you know it's strong, you know it's proven. No guesswork in that. 25, remember that, 25 inches. This is the part where it starts to get really loose. Metal turns to spaghetti. That one goes there. What was that number I told you to remember? It's only a natural evolution in my mock-ups. You know, I was starting with cardboard boxes and masking tape, right? Now I'm taking brand new car chassis and hacking them up. So you may be thinking, wow, that's quite a fine mess you've created there. But I thought this through. So let's put it back together, shall we? One thing I know is a pile of cardboard boxes and some masking tape is not gonna sell this concept. I gotta go right into it. Look at that, it's a mini chassis. Create sort of a working model of it. I'm doing this for both the look and the function. Now that that's set up, these can go inside here. The end result is you have rear suspension. The next step is to set up the front end and figure out how to incorporate that dragster look. This critical measurement I've laid out both in marker and in chalk is a trade secret. I'll put a pin in the table right there, just like the golden spike on the transcontinental railroad. It's that important. In thinking about the front end design of this, the dragster look was appropriate. It's a boat, right? It doesn't have like a big heavy front end on it, so the spoke wheels and the lightness of that style chassis, I think it fits just right. It's like ring toss. Look at that, that's your spring perch right there. You didn't know where I was going. You were thinking mini chassis, what's going on here? The boat's that big, but the chassis is actually this long. For my next trick, I shall fuse some round tube for the front of this chassis. The design here is built for speed. So with this arrangement of tubes, it's really gonna give a sleek, low-profile design with a lot of strength. Exactly the look I was going for was that pile of trash I picked out of Tom's backyard, you know? Revisiting that slingshot vintage dragster look. Really long wheelbase, super light front end. That's what I'm looking at. How do you feel about it? In a world of top fuel dragsters, this stands alone. It's the most ridiculous concept ever put forth. Next step, victory. We got a cool chassis and we got a cool boat, but side by side, they don't add up to the world's greatest drag boat sales pitch. But today, all that's about to change. I really want to present this to Victor in a purely visual way. You know, it's like, look, suspension, rear suspension, driveline, it's gonna steer, that type of thing. No questions. If I showed him this golf cart rear axle, he'd be like, I don't get it. So I got some parts to make the conversion, and I think that's really just gonna seal the deal. Even though the narrowed rear end is a good choice, it's not as simple as a plug and play. That 9-inch housing had this big unit bolted to the front of it. What you used to have was an electric motor bolted up back here. So the electric motor sat in here with another gear that turned that gear, that turned the pinion gear, that made the car go. I'm just taking the pinion gear out of that, and I'm gonna modify it with original Ford parts. They're harder and harder to come by, but I was able to scrap around to link up to that automatic transmission. Can you dig it? I love the challenge of using stuff that's not supposed to go where you want to put it. Oh yeah, it's a golf cart rear axle in there. People are like, what? Like, yeah. I think that's my problem. I'm an adrenaline junkie. I get freaked out, man, and I love the challenge of trying to get us stuff to work. All this is gonna get rebuilt for sure. It's just, look, here's a placeholder. We got 350 transmission, Chevy 350 engine. I think these valve covers are gonna sell it. Victor's gonna take one look at the chrome and the possibilities. Come on, sucker. Building a vintage dragster is one thing, but building this spectacle boat thing is a completely different accomplishment. You know, dragster's got one purpose, go that way really fast. Victor wanted a spectacle. The whole thing is, can we put a couple seats in this with the boat body on it? Down the rabbit hole we go. She's listing, Captain. She's going hard to broadside. Now to port. Now to port, Captain. She's gonna go over. Every crazy concept comes down to one element absolutely working. Whose idea was this? And this, ladies and gentlemen, is that moment. She's heavy. She's heavy. No pressure. Just drop her down. Oh, brother. I'm into it now. I'm a troubleshooter by nature, so I'm looking at this, I'm like, it's got potential. It could work. It could work. I like the wheelbase, but always with the next challenge and the problems in the back of my mind. That darn engine is way too far forward. I tell you, there's nothing like the sound of that V8 engine ringing in your ear. I love the concept, and that's the thing. I want to sell Victor the concept, but I don't want to sell him something that I can't accomplish, so I'm looking at troubles. Position of the engine is a little bit, the fitment of the rear tires in the back of the boat, the overall stance of it. The first thing you have to think of when you look at it is, oh, that's cool. Not quite there yet. I mean, the look is there. That engine's just in the way. Looking at the back, I think I can afford to lose a little boat in the rear section. Huh. I got all kinds of room. You know, this all adds up to that moment in your teens, like when you told your parents you were cleaning your room all day and they're on the way home and you gotta really follow through on the goods. Just a little more desert treasure. Haven't quite accomplished everything I need to, and El Jefe is on his way over for inspection. I'm not showing him too much, just showing him ideas. Everything in its place. Walk in with an air of elegance. I don't know, I think I got in real deep on this one. The moment is upon us. Honest Ian's used boat emporium is open for business, and we're about to make our first sale. All right, man, now I want you to close your eyes for this.
I'll cover 'em.
You're gonna need a clear and open mind to digest this whole thing. Don't be startled, just let your spirit soar, Victor.
All right, let's see what you got here.
It's been said, be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. The man wanted a crazy spectacle. I give to you the drag boat. Ta-da!
What is it?
Exactly. It's not what you're thinking, and it's not what it looks like. These are the parts that I've chosen to be our new project. So far, so good. I mean, he hasn't run out of the room yet.
I mean,
He's not really smiling, he's not really frowning.
I have no words right now. Give me a few minutes to absorb what I'm looking at now.
I can't really say what I was expecting his reaction to be, because I really didn't know how I was gonna react to looking at it again either, so we're both kind of in the same boat.
They said freaky.
Yeah.
That's like, who in their right mind would do what you just did here? You know, I heard there was a lot of mercury in the grounds here from the 20s, whatever they were doing here with the government, and it affects your mind, but shit.
When you go to your favorite restaurant and you order your favorite thing from the same menu, you pretty much know what you're gonna get. Or you could order something new, use the words like crazy and freaky, and you never know what you're gonna get. The arrangement of the engine, I want a V8. This is a little bit cramped, right? But I'm thinking like you're on a boat in the lake and you get on that throttle, nose is up and you're hauling. I want to make like a wheelie machine.
Dean, I don't know what people are gonna say with me on the freeway driving a boat. I don't know if that's legal or not.
I don't think this is a freeway machine.
Well, you really stretch out your creativity on this. I mean, look at this thing.
Victor's a creative guy, so I see him looking at this, and I think the best course of action is for me to explain my idea. You know, this concept of a dragster that's wearing a boat body, but it's still at heart a dragster, crazy spectacle, kind of show car. Hopefully it'll get his gears turning. It's a match made in heaven.
My lights are turning on. I just pictured this thing. That thing is rad.
Sold.
I see this blower on it. I see these wheelie bars on this one, right?
That's what I was getting at. It's literally a dragster, right? I think I should get Salesman of the Year from the Drag Boat Society.
Then we got to talk about body modifications. It might as well have some wings on it too, right?
Hey.
This thing is aerodynamic now. Maybe we'll break the sound barrier.
Like many things in life, this is a delicate situation, and I'm not quite sure it's time yet to awake the enhancement monster.
I just see we have to do some modifications with
I think you know what I'm talking about. Anything could happen at that point.
all bets are off. We're going crazy. You want to talk about a spectacle? You just opened up a whole new can of worms here, buddy.
Just another day in the shop convincing my friends to do these ridiculous projects with me. I think we're off in the right direction.
Now, do you have any Alka-Seltzer?
So Victor was satisfied with the crazy boat concept, but after talking with him, I wasn't fully satisfied. I needed something more. Having that V8 engine sitting up behind those front seats, it just wasn't enough. I need it back here, behind the tires. The whole thing with all these projects is it's gotta look right in the end. And I mean, that kind of stress, that angst is what makes me go further to make sure that everything falls in the way we need it. I had this exhaust from Speedway that I just needed to use. Beautiful stainless steel Roadster headers, right? You know, like you see on a T-bucket kit car, they sit like that on each side of the engine. I was like, no, these are boat headers. These are upside down and backwards, like that. It's like speedboat and dragster. Right now, it starts to get aggressive. In the end, these headers are gonna need some clearance around the tires, but what kind of concept doesn't need to go full custom? All of a sudden, it's like, wait, what? Engine in the back? Exhaust coming out like a jet boat? And that leads up to the biggest question mark of the whole arrangement. Like, with the drive shaft sticking towards the front of the vehicle, how is it rear-wheel drive? And once Victor agreed to this crazy boat concept, I started doing a little research, talking to a few people, you know, found a few guys who are into the speedboats, and they're like, yeah, no, every boat that's arranged like this uses a V-drive. So it's like the power goes forward, just like it would in a car, but it's backwards. So it goes towards the front and then right back out to the propeller. My friend out near Ventura, you know, out by the sea, he's like, we got V-drives, we got boats all over the place. So he shows me this thing. Seeing this unit, it makes perfect sense. So it's in and out. And they had these cool mounting plates too, cast aluminum. They go right on the side. All the pieces are here, right? The concept is sold, but I still got to do a ton of fabrication to see if it'll actually work. You know, this is all still just discussion. It's all lip service. Victor fell for it. The moment he opened his eyes, I knew he was in love. You saw those hearts, you know, like the cartoon. They popped open. Now all I got to do is prove it. I'm gonna work my way from front to back to make this a rolling chassis, and the Dragster steering is just about complete. This is pretty much Speedway's T-bucket kit front end. You know, I just adapted it. The tie rod on that Dragster was all used up and messy, so I set it up for some brand new Heim joints. See, this is the look I was going for. I mean, it's a shame it's gonna be covered up with a boat body, because if you saw this coming down the road, you're like, wow, that is cool. This is a very traditional hot rod arrangement. You know, the drag link steering setup is what you would have on any T-bucket hot rod. It looks lightweight and cool. Perfect choice for this. It's got a body on it, but I still want to see all that raw fabrication, you know? You see all the action. You see the engine actually spinning. There's no hood on it. One of my favorite things. All right, last things last is this cool steering column and the classic 3-prong steering wheel. You know, with my eyes closed, I'm picturing myself out on the lake. I mean, out on the drag strip or at the car show. Either way, it steers. So this looks solid. I want to get the rear end in pretty much the same arrangement, you know, proof of concept. I'm gonna have to set up this V-drive and figure out how it's gonna attach to the chassis. Seeing that in place just seals the deal. Now there's plenty of room for seating. You're away from that big hot engine, and you can see already, right into the V-drive from the trans, and that lower output shaft is basically pointing at the differential. The engine, transmission, and drive line are all mounted off of these two Heim joints. That's the magic of like the wheelie action. So this It's all going to be one substructure. That the whole engine, trans, and driveline is all in one piece and it pivots together. The mounts on the V-Drive are set up for a boat. They're a little wide, so I'm gonna cut those down, then create some steel plates that I can weld to the truss structure I already have in place. The whole concept here is engine, transmission, rear axle, and now V-Drive are all of the same assembly. So this truss structure that I'm building keeps everything, you know, all the spinning mechanical parts in line and strong. Now, of course, it's gonna have a lot of other structure in there, but with any luck, the V-Drive is still standing. Still a lot to go, but this concept I could see. You know, I like this design here, right? It comes out, it goes down. Plenty of room for the transmission cross member in here. And there'll be gussets, you know, whatever I do. Structurally, it's looking like a race thing. Once we get the visual aspect on there, it's gonna look like a clown thing. Exactly right. Check this out. You've never seen anything like this. Just like with Victor, I have to ease into my arrangement with showing the inspectors my latest creation. They aren't the biggest fans of water, so to keep the scales of justice in balance, we can't just walk in and exactly looking at a boat. T-bucket style front suspension, dragster rims. Anyone? It's business as usual. They walk in, they're like, yeah, big deal, you know, cool your jets, we're not impressed. So I did a whole bunch of work to this thing, and it's pretty much just all tubed out, gusseted. I mounted the radiator. It's got suspension in it now. I cut off the back spring perches and turned them sideways so I could tuck those springs in there. It's really tight quarters. So it's pretty much like if you put a seat on this in a gas tank, you could probably roll it down the track and it would perform. And that's all it takes. A few words from me, from what I perceive to be my greatest accomplishment yet, and that cues the ultimate naysayer. Usually the engine is up front, we know. He thinks it'll never pass tech at the track. He thinks it's unsafe. And I agree. I think it's perfect. This is only half of it. You gotta see the body. That's outside. And that's the next step in this whole thing. Now check this out. Look at this. Hey. Hey. Fair weather friends. Lil! You missed the boat. This was the best part of it. They don't seem to be interested at all in what I'm doing here. You just can't teach some things culture. I brought the boat out here and put it on the lift because I was gonna have them help me install the thing, but I guess it's up to me, as usual. Well, let's push this thing out and see how it lines up. Even though the boat body's been on there before, it's critical that it sits properly. Otherwise, the whole presentation will be off. My master plan will be foiled. Hey, look who it is. Fair weather friend. You're just in time for the boat. Check it out. Yeah, my plan with this whole setup was see how I cut the hull. It's gonna sit right on the front spring perch. Pretty much like that. So that's level, right? But I was thinking I want it more aggressive, like a speedboat. So I'm gonna go lower in the back. That really sets the look. It looks like it's on plane, right? It's taking off. Really showing off the engine. You know, the tires are up above, and then these big exhaust pipes just coming out. I'm gonna put these rear mounts in and roll it out from this lift and take a look at it. I don't know, I guess there are crazier concepts, but I can't think of one. Even for me, this is pretty far out. Now she's got a little interest in her eyes. Oh look, all the cows are coming home. Hey, it's hot out in that desert, isn't it? This is what it all adds up to, you know? First impressions. I'm looking at this thing like it's the first time. It looks fast. That's what I was going for. It's definitely weird. Stance, when you look at it, it's gotta have some kind of attitude. For me, a lot of times it's like nose down, right? For whatever reason, that looks a little more aggressive. Not this one. A boat does the exact opposite. It looks like it's ready to hop in the lake and go cruising. It's gonna make a real statement at the local boat ramp. See, now you really see how the suspension works. The body, the whole boat is suspended on springs. The engine is locked down to the rear tires. Now that I see everything working as it should visually, I'll get some body mounts in order and prepare for a 3-hour tour of Ian's Island. So this worked out really good. This 1-inch tube will come off of the frame and just grab the boat with a metal plate and some bolts. So I'll do the same thing up here, right where the bottom of the seat's gonna mount. A big challenge next is the seating and the steering. I want a nice cushy seat and some real solid feeling steering. I wouldn't say it's ready to set sail quite yet, but it's definitely on a roll. That body's sitting just the way I like it. Every time I look at this, I get a smile on my face. Today is the day of the 3 S's. We got steering, we got sitting, and we got stopping. Part of the deal in presenting a project in this fashion is that you have to expect that the finish work could take the project in a lot of different directions. But that's part of the fun in collaboration. I haven't talked to Victor about anything, paint scheme, interior, I don't know. Just gonna deliver him a functional unit to start with and see what he comes up with. I can't wait to see how it ends. But before that, we have a few challenges to overcome, and the first S being the stopping. There's a combination of many question marks. I mean, I'm really hanging it out there on this one. It's got these pretty small disc brakes from that cart that it was a part of, but they are disc brakes, and I have a brand new master cylinder that's from a T-bucket. So hey, hopefully it'll stop. So I flipped the master cylinder upside down, put the brake pedal on upside down, and reversed the mounting. So instead of it being under and a reverse push, it's ahead and it's a forward push. This is one of my go-to methods for taming the wild beasts that these car projects are. The old flip it upside down and reverse it trick. I'll come back and run the brake lines later, but now there's more mock-up that needs to be mocked up. Next step is the steering. That's pretty much how I want it. That wheel's got to come back. I'm gonna take 8 inches out of this. Really get it down close to the dash. The anatomy of this steering column is an external tube with 2 bearings that supports a solid center rod with a gear welded for the quick connect on the steering wheel. So it's pretty simple for me to disassemble and modify. All right, let's see what that looks like. See that? I said 8, but I only cut 6, and 6 was right. That's just how I roll. All this needs is a simple mounting bracket, and we're off to the races. With this project really coming together, I'm thinking about my next endeavor. A clown training center, Honest Ian's Clown College. I think it's a great concept. Yeah, I like that. I'll be darned. It steers. It's a little squeaky still. That's the chimp under the hood. I'll have to get him out of there. So those 2 tasks are pretty straightforward. This next one is more of an art piece. In other words, I don't really know what I'm doing, but we're gonna do something, and I know it has to be a certain width. The whole thing with this being a dragster has nothing to do with racing. It has to do with a really cool show car I saw called the Wishbone that Ed Roth built, and apparently it was something that he really didn't like, but I saw it. I saw the potential, and you know, that thing looked like it could have raced, but it was more of a show car or a show boat. Showboat. So that's where the inspiration for this came from. When I see someone that, you know, follows their bliss, goes the extra mile to create something really unique, I say, yeah, that only validates my own insanity. If somebody had a crazy idea, I'd say, you're crazy. That's a crazy idea. Let's get started. Never know how close to failure you are until you accidentally succeed and it looks like you meant it. I know I want the seat to be the full width of the boat so that I have as much room as possible. Yeah, see, once the upholstery's on, I'll just give it a nice little tuck. I'm gonna start with the base and then attach the backrest. Ooh, it's like getting in a boat. So you're talking about brakes, right? All right, let's put some back tubing in. Victor's really been going the extra mile in the last few projects with the upholstery, so what I'm doing is just setting up a good groundwork for him to do his magic. So I'm just gonna slice through these tubes so I can take the seat out Then I'll be able to finish it on the bench where it's flat. Whose crazy idea was this? Build a seat that you can't take out of the vehicle. At first I was thinking that the whole corner of the seat would wrap around like this far, but I realized you don't need that much seat. So I'm gonna take the tube, bend it, attach here, and then just curve right into that. I had 3 S's. I gotta say, the sitting's looking the best out of the 3. I'm giving Victor the whole project in this rough, unfinished form, and it's up to him. Like, what kind of upholstery, what kind of paint? Who knows? Maybe he's got enhancement. It's a pretty wild concept. I'm super interested to see what he's thinking. A few loose ends to wrap up in this project, and it's ready for the master enhancer. Ready or not, here we come. In an effort to continue my salesmanship, I need to set this car up to really make an impression on Victor. I think he needs to see it in motion. Ahoy! Nice day for a cruise. It doesn't move on its own, but it does stop and steer, and that's all I need for this presentation. Welcome to the cartoon world, sir. That's about as spectacle-y as I could make it. Everything's in place, the mounts are there, the body's this floating, springy design.
You have motion in the ocean.
It's like you're on a boat. It's basically a fully functioning rolling chassis ready to drop in a running engine and transmission.
I said, crazy spectacle, and I got what I asked for. I should watch my mouth next time. The fab is done. This is a piece of art now. Now I'm afraid to cover anything up. The thing already says I'm crazy, I'm nuts, look at me. I don't want to have them put me in an asylum right off the bat. I could just literally do the interior and paint it, and it's done. But then I haven't done my part, and it's not fair to you.
That's right. It's not fair to me unless you get all the details filled in. Like all the rest of our projects, I'm sure this will be a back and forth process, but I think I'm going to hightail it out of here before Victor starts getting a little too deep. We all know how this could go. I'm really looking forward to seeing what your vision is for it, right? And then ultimately, the test drive. No holds barred. Do what you do. Victor's process is typically not fast and usually requires a lot of revisions. So after I left, I was surprised to get an SOS from him the very next day. Jumping Jehoshaphat.
I had visions, I couldn't sleep.
Well, I gotta say, that escalated quickly. Victor looks a little frantic. I see inspiration in his eyes. He's a man in motion. He's got a good concept. I work the same way, so I'm just like being supportive. You know, I see what his potential is here that's just developing. I was pretty surprised to come back the next day. I mean, seriously, 16 hours later, and he's got these 2 fins and taillights mocked up on this thing, as well as some kind of weird headgear arrangement. I mean, look at this.
That's you, man. That enhances your forehead.
All jokes aside, this project's on a new path, and I'm up for the ride. No, this is super rad, and I know your body guy, Hector, is super talented, so he's taking all your ideas and just like, it's coming together. It's cool.
No, I did this. I was up myself at night doing all this, I'm telling you. I had brought some foam in and just started sanding and put in proportion. If you would have seen me, I'm like a junior Ian.
I say carry on and realize your fullest potential, sir. You're on the right path. This is just how it goes. You know, work with Victor, I knew what I was getting into, and who knows where the heck this is gonna end up now.